Martin Luther King Jr., the dream, the man, the truth. Martin Luther King Jr. is often frozen in time. A single quote, a single march, a single dream. But history doesn't move in sound bites, and men are never made of just one thing.
It was all a dream.
To understand Martin Luther King Jr., we have to step
so
beyond the highlight reel and into the full frame.
It was all a dream. Man, that line on the steps felt distant to me. Old tape in the class, teacher hit play. Static on the screen, black and white that day. He said, I have a dream. Crowd breathing as one. Words rising like heat from a southern sun. Bus seats burning signs.
King was born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, into a deeply religious household. His father was a Baptist preacher, strict, commanding, and politically aware. From a young age, King learned two things that would shape his life: the power of words and the weight of injustice. He was brilliant. College at 15, a PhD by 25, a mind trained in theology, philosophy, and moral argument. But intelligence alone doesn't move a nation. Courage does. King rose to prominence during the Montgomery Bus Boycott, after Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. For over a year, Black Americans walked instead of riding segregated buses. King didn't lead with violence or rage. He led with discipline. Nonviolence wasn't weakness to him. It was strategy, a moral mirror held up to America, forcing it to see its own contradictions. And it worked. The civil rights movement under King achieved what generations had been denied: the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, desegregation enforced by law, not just hope. He reshaped American language itself. Words like justice, equality, and freedom were no longer abstract ideals. They became demands. King believed America could be better, not burned down, not replaced, but redeemed. That belief inspired millions, but it also made him enemies. The FBI followed him, wiretapped him, tried to destroy him. J. Edgar Hoover labeled him dangerous, not because King carried weapons, but because he carried influence. The government feared his ability to unify people across race, class, and eventually economics, because King didn't stop at race. Near the end of his life, King began talking about poverty, labor rights, and wealth inequality. He criticized capitalism without restraint. He condemned the Vietnam War publicly, calling America the greatest purveyor of violence in the world at the time. That's when support began to crack. Some allies walked away, some donors pulled back, and some politicians turned cold. King was no longer convenient. And then there is the part of his life that rarely makes it into the textbooks. Martin Luther King Jr. was deeply flawed. By many accounts, he struggled with infidelity throughout his marriage. Multiple sources, including FBI recordings and personal testimonies, describe extramarital affairs. These weren't rumors invented decades later. They were known by people close to him at the time. This doesn't erase his work, but it does shatter the myth. King was not morally perfect. He preached discipline while privately failing it. He spoke of righteousness while battling personal weakness. That contradiction made him human, not holy. Some argue that these flaws discredit him. Others argue that it makes his achievements more remarkable. A man fighting injustice in a world while losing battles within himself. There are also debates around how sanitized his legacy has become. Today, King is often quoted selectively. His radical critiques of war, capitalism, and systematic power are conveniently ignored. His calls for economic justice are softened into vague messages of kindness. The man who disrupted America is now used to comfort. King didn't die universally loved. When he was assassinated in 1968, polls show a majority of Americans disapproved of him. He was seen as divisive, dangerous, and unpatriotic. Only later did history repaint him as safe. But King was never meant to be safe. He was meant to challenge. So what do we do with all of this? We tell the truth. Martin Luther King was a visionary who bent the arc of American history towards justice. He was also a flawed man who struggled with temptation, and contradiction. He stood against the violence while living under the constant threat. He preached peace while being hunted by his own government. He was not a saint. He was something harder, a man who chose courage anyway. And maybe that's the real lesson. Not that heroes are perfect, but that imperfect people can still change the world. Thanks for watching.